You guys.
The floor is melting slow like
The residents along the West River are talking again tonight about what they call the Phantom Train. Witnesses in Jamaica and Townsend say they saw the outline of an old steam engine rolling across the trestle.
Reports of a ghostly woman at Weatherhead Hollow Bridge have some Vermonters looking over their shoulders tonight. WCA's Atlanta Price is live in Guilford with the story.
Nothing's what it seems in this fever dream. The clock's spin back.
Even though we are like a legit investigating team, it's always nice to have those beginnings. Like Versace was mentioned, we'll tip back up this statement. Like the nice beginnings because you have like the 30-second countdown before you're live.
Yeah, you gotta prepare yourself.
Well, even if you're on TV, you get a commercial break, Vic, Everybody's flurrying in. They come in, they do your makeup, they wipe the sweat, they get everything clear, make sure your picture perfect frame, everything, and then boom, you're in live.
God, with me, they failed.
I remember your first intro was like 2 minutes. That was perfect. You could go to the bathroom, get a snack, get a drink, smoke a bong. You could do everything within that intro and then come back and sit here like, here we are.
Yeah, my daughter needed something quickly. Boom, it was just like beautiful. But okay, so we have Rachel Hudon with us today. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Pretty good. I didn't fumble your name tremendously, did I?
No, you're good. You got it.
Okay, it took me like 3 months to get Versace down right. So
he was calling me Versace.
Versace. Yeah, I was like this stoner.
But
okay. You're from Hinsdale, New Hampshire.
Yeah, so right across the river from Brattleboro, Vermont.
You're close. You're close to the evil over there, huh? Like resonates over that river, I bet.
Yeah, there's a lot over there. Well, we're on like King Philip's War land, so there's kind of a lot going on with that too.
Wow.
Yeah, you have your own paranormal team, don't you?
I don't have a paranormal team. I kind of like jump around with different groups of people.
Uh-huh.
And then I have like a live show on TikTok that I do every night, and we talk about the paranormal on that. So I just kind of network with other people that do the same thing.
People just going out, and then everybody kind of meets up and just does their own thing, but different, but same. Yeah, I get that.
Yep.
Yeah. For the people you've talked to who decided to do this, what was their reasoning why? What was the why they decided to like drop and say, you know what, I'm going to this paranormal world. You've heard crazy stories. I might have a demon, dry humping me when I come home tonight. It's like, what was their why?
It ranges from like everything from they just want to be scared to they don't believe in anything and they would like to, or they've had experiences that they'd like to explain. And I've even like worked with some mediums that wanted to kind of explore different areas and different types of spirits.
Because we talked to recently a quantum psychic who came on, and she was mentioning to she sees reptilian people.
Oh, that's scary.
I mean, like she was mentioning that, and we were just like kind of like. At first, we were like, okay, cool, because we believe in it, but we just don't see it. So it's like cool and everything.
Yeah.
She mentioned something about how they jump on top of us and they wipe our minds.
That's so scary.
And then when she said that, all of a sudden, I just forgot what we were talking about. Like that, and it was just like kind of like, that's freaky.
Yeah, that's so scary.
But what was your first paranormal experience?
So I've had a lot. When I was little, I used to tell my dad that I saw shadow people in my bedroom. So it kind of started with that. And then when I was a little bit older, maybe like 9 or 10, my best friend lived in a haunted house. So we would like, her grandmother told us that the scariest thing that happened to her there was a knife slid down the counter in the kitchen towards her. not like forcefully or anything, but it moved towards her in like kind of a threatening manner. Um, that house was like it was like a big old Victorian, like couple hundreds of years old. So it looked kind of scary too. But we would hear footsteps. We would like one time we watched a door handle turn with nobody on the other side. The scariest thing I remember happening there was we went into the barn out back to like look at a car that her grandfather was working on, and he was like, "Oh, you have to lift the tarp off of it." And he's like, "I'm gonna walk to the post office. You guys go check it out." So we opened the door to the barn, and the second we opened the door, there was a radio on top of the tarp that was on the car, holding the tarp down, and it went off on full blast. But the cord was wrapped around it, and we were like, maybe it has batteries. So we ran out of the barn. We waited for him to get back, and we were like, the radio went off, and he was like, no, he didn't believe in ghosts, and he was like, no way, like that didn't happen. So he went in there with us, and like there were no batteries. The cord was wrapped around it, but it definitely turned on. Like we saw the light on it, like everything. It was so weird. um and then later on when I was in college, I went out with some friends and we got detoured through a cemetery in Keene, New Hampshire. And a big like white mist went in front of the car, and we were like, "Oh, that's weird. Like maybe the cemetery's haunted." Um, so this is back in like 2010. Nobody really had phones that like did the whole internet thing that well. So we went home and like got on Google and we're looking up the cemetery to see if it was haunted, and there were like so many stories. So we're like, "All right, we want to go back and check this out." And that was like the first time I decided to like investigate anything. And we didn't have much for equipment. We had like like cameras, voice recorders, and like flashlights.
Yeah.
Um, but that's when it all started.
Now, you can write a book for all the little, like, like the memoirs of your adventures and stuff like
Yeah,
that. You can definitely write a book.
yeah. There's a lot.
Now, the one criticism I got from when I announced I was going to do this was, oh, you have to have like the big cameras with you and the good audio equipment. You don't have the money for this. You don't
No.
have that. And I was just I was just kind of like, leave me alone. I just whatever happens, happens. It's just
Yeah,
like,
you don't need all that stuff. Like you can go to Home Depot and grab a couple of mag lights, the ones that like you turn the ends of them
mhm.
and then they turn on and off. You can use those. Put them down, like ask questions, and like they'll turn on and off. Or like do I have any here? There are these.
Like the little ball lights.
Yeah, the little cat balls.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, they're
that's so
like,
cool.
they're like $10 for like a 4 or 5 pack.
they're in my cart. I have a few other things in my cart of Amazon, and I'm
Nice.
like that I got. I did buy myself actually a spirit box and
Yep,
the
I have one of
EMP that
those.
I wanted the EMP and I wanted a recorder because well, I mean, who doesn't want good sound anyways?
Yeah, exactly.
And those things get like some of the best sound quality. I've been using them actually I've been using it actually more for film because it just picks up everything really good.
Yep, that's the scary part. It picks up everything.
Yeah, things you can't even hear like just due to natural deafness.
Yeah,
um but I like the whole idea that I've I've watched a lot of cinematic paranormal videos as well, and I see a lot of these tools be used in the movies because well they're easy, not easy to manipulate, but easy to show a visualization of
yeah,
what is happening. A
yeah.
spirit
They
is
they
coming.
move. They have lights. They have like little things that beep, stuff like that.
And I feel like I don't know if I just wasn't aware of it. It seems like a lot of this stuff has come in the last like 5 years, like out into the public. Where before it was kind of niche,
Yeah,
and things weren't called like stuff for ghost hunting or paranormal investigations. It was all just like you said, it was called a cat ball light, and you would just have to know what to do with it and how to use it.
yep, yeah. It's definitely a lot easier to find things now than like when I first started back in like 2010. There were like, we had cat toys basically, and then like flashlights and recorders, and that's it. cameras. And now like we have all the fun stuff like the spirit boxes. You couldn't really just find the spirit box at a store. You probably could now, like for like the oop, I have a REM pod. This thing's really cool. Um, but like you can get that stuff online for like fairly cheap.
Yeah.
So anyone can do it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the Spirit Box was like 30, $40. I mean, it has a really good shuffle rate. It does really good. I've had
Hazel,
decent results with it.
Hazel,
Yeah.
I bring it down to my local cemetery sometimes and see what I can pick up. I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't played with a lot of this stuff extensively yet, just because I just haven't really found places that I know will pick up stuff. Like, I know what's around me. I know that there's nothing like in this house. I know there's nothing in like the neighbors' houses or anything around me. The cemetery is a little different. There's a few places though that now that we've been doing paranormal that I kind of want to check out because I've done some research in the area where I live. And places, like there's an old arsenal where, a lot of war stuff happened and such, and other like historical places that I might be able to pick up, stuff from even like back in the Civil War times. I was reading about like out in Lexington area. So it's like it's pretty cool to think well, hey, now we have the capabilities to kind of cross that barrier a little bit.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And B, it's not just, a single person's experience. I feel like, before the internet, before everything, you would do these things and be like, "Oh my god," and you'd be all mind blown. But then you try to tell somebody else, they're just looking at you like you're crazy, or they don't
Yeah,
believe you because there's
you
no
can't
like
prove it.
documentation and backup. But now when you go online, you just do simple searches, on a TikTok, you can find several people doing all these different things, sometimes in the same location because you're all there anyways. And it's like, well, that's too many coincidences. That's too many, times this is happening. It's kind of nice validation.
Yeah.
so you've been doing this for 15 years?
Yeah, so I did it not 15 all the way through. So I did it throughout college, probably like maybe uh like 4 to 6 years. Took a little bit of a break and then I ended up moving into a haunted house, which was not expected. And then I did a little bit while I was there. Um kind of calmed down a little bit after I moved out for like the next year and then I had a really weird experience and that brought me like back into it again. So it's probably been about 4 years since I started again.
What cases have you been a part of?
Like big cases, nothing huge. I checked out a couple people's houses that were having some issues. There was one guy who heard from his neighbors that there were a couple deaths in the house and his daughter was afraid of her bedroom. So we kind of checked that out, but it didn't seem like anything was like scary in there. It was just like,
The more the
kind of
thought
like
of it, the morbid
more of
thought.
like a yeah, it was more of like a residual thing and I think the kid was scared.
I mean,
Um
honestly, if I knew people died in my room, I probably could manifest something in there by the end of the night.
yeah,
Well,
you just, your mind is playing tricks on you and stuff like that too.
the
Like,
power of thought,
no.
and I think that's the hardest part. I think in paranormal is at some point you have to shut off your reasoning because you're gonna see things that aren't explainable, but you also got to keep it in the realm of is this real?
Yeah,
Because
which
your
is
mind
hard.
can play tricks on you. So like you're on this really thin line of reality.
Yeah, which is why like sometimes the tools are kind of nice to have because like it's kind of more validation.
Yeah, you can document it. It's almost to a scientific point. We've heard such and such noise every night at this time. There's no reason that this noise should be out there. There's no people out there. Why are we hearing children at 3:30 a.m. every night?
Yeah. Scary stuff.
Stuff like that. You can document it over time. Then yeah, it's very much easier to explain or even to come to terms with in yourself because now it's something tangible.
Yeah. So like I think the coolest thing that I've worked on, the coolest like little project and like, it's never really complete, but um I meditate a lot, and I had kind of this weird, like, it was almost like a dream, but I was awake. Where like I saw this girl running through, she like got out of a truck and she was running through a clearing in the woods, and she kept looking back like she was running from someone, and then you saw her just kind of drop and then a hand go over and like put something on her face, and it just replayed that, and I got really freaked out and was like, I don't know what that was. And I talked to my dad about it, and he was like, oh well, there was a woman who was murdered like right down the street from your house, like they left her body in the woods right there. So I looked into that, and it was a woman named Mary Harrison. She lived in Winchester, New Hampshire, and it's like, what was the year? Wrote it down. Um, so in 1981, um, she was shot in the head and like left in the woods in North Hinsdale. So like pretty fairly close to Brattleboro. And the trails right out by my house lead right out to the clearing that she was found in. So I took a couple of friends out there and we took some equipment. I did the Estes method, which is like when you blindfold yourself and you have a like noise canceling headphones that you plug into a spirit box. And I didn't tell them where we were going or like what it was. It was just like, we're going on a little hike. And I had them ask questions, and I didn't tell them what to ask. They just kind of asked whatever, so that, they weren't really aware of what was, what the story was. And I was under, listening to the spirit box saying what I was hearing, and we recorded the whole thing, and it was super creepy. um, so she talked about like being chased. She talked about how she had made friends that she thought were good friends that hurt her. She kept saying it was a woman's voice most of the time coming through. Um, she said, um, like she kept saying I'm cold, which was like really sad. And like um it happened in like mid-October, so like it would have been cold out. Um the creepiest thing I think she said was, I served them, you serve them too. And she was a waitress at a restaurant in Winchester, New Hampshire that was right down the street from the deli that I worked at where I used to serve people all the time.
Oh,
So like that, like they, the people asking questions, they didn't pick up on that until like, I got home, watched the footage, and then was like, oh, that's really scary. Because, I heard her say that, like I heard it through the spirit box, but I didn't know what they were asking. So it's just like, oh, that's weird. But that was super creepy.
wow.
Yeah.
That
Aren't
sounds
you
intense.
aren't you ever afraid that something's gonna like attach itself to you and go home with you?
Yes. It hasn't happened yet, so hopefully it won't. But I mean, um, there are other people that say that, they've had that happen and they've found ways to get rid of it. Whether
Right.
that be, I don't want to have to do a whole exorcism. I never want to have to like go through that. But there seems to always be kind of an undo step with that kind of thing.
So you have
I
like
think there's a way. I think there's a way of bargaining with whatever demon or entity that's with you that you can work out a deal for it to leave you alone
Yeah.
and you to make it satisfied.
So every time that I leave somewhere, I tell them that they can't follow. Like spirits can't follow me. Like you need to stay here. This is where you stay, and I'm going to go where I go.
Well, they need boundaries too, and if you
Yeah.
don't give boundaries, they won't follow them. But if you do give boundaries, most of the time they do follow them.
Yeah. I've never had anything attach, to my knowledge.
Well, that's
So
good.
hopefully it never does.
Oh
do you
no,
believe in
you hear about these things or even attached items, and obviously like Annabelle doll and stuff. But there's like lists and lists of just cursed items that these things can attach to that just can cause all sorts of chaos in the world.
Yeah.
Especially if you acquire one of them and you just happen to like, oh, look at this, and all of a sudden all this misfortune happens. It's like, oh,
Yeah, I don't want that.
Do you believe in curses though? Like people can send like curse after you?
I hope that they're not real. I think a lot of it might be like, if someone tells you that you're cursed, you might believe that and then attribute everything that happens to you that is negative as the curse.
Like the
Um,
voodoo effect, like it only really works if you believe in it.
yeah, but like there have been a lot of like weird things that happen where you're like, I can't really explain this, so maybe it is real. Like, who knows?
I honestly believe they're real. I just Versace. Should I say this? Tell the story, or do you want to tell the story?
You can tell a story. I believe it's real too, because my grandmother always like warned me of gypsy curses from Italy and being wary and who I dealt with in deals, and she would always warn me about the curses. But
Because before we got into the dark side, which we talked about, horror movies and stuff like that, in and out before, but we were talking about professional wrestling, and we found out there was like a group in Rhode Island. I won't mention names, that was tied to people who had like minor sex offender charges against them, like against youths and stuff like that. And we were going to say we're going to blow open the case, blow open the story. Well, they threatened to send a curse after me if we talked any more shit about them. And of course, back then I was spiritual, but I was just pretty much going like, "What do you do? Take some hair off me? What the hell are you do to me? So I just went with it anyways. And the threat was like end of May, beginning of June, beginning of September was beginning of my perfect love marriage started to fall apart. Beginning of October, my ex cheated on me. January, she filed divorce papers. It just crumbled
Just out of nowhere too.
out of nowhere as well. As Versace's doing research for me, say like, there is one demon from like South America that does come up that doesn't hurt people, it causes mischief.
Yeah.
And they think that that's probably it. But ever since then, it's just like kind of like, yeah, take
well,
it
I don't
seriously.
think they wanted you dead. They didn't want that karma. They just wanted you suffering.
Yeah, miserable.
But it makes you think about how there's powers that we don't see in front of us right now.
Well, there is. We're talking about it. The paranormal world. There's a whole invisible world out there. That's what all this equipment captures. But I mean, if you can attune your body to it, there are people that have, their third eye fully opened, and there's nothing blocking anything, or they're in a really good meditative state where they are open and all their chakras are open. They're in tune to the world and everything around them, the spirits and everything. I mean, that's kind of the whole like basis of like Native American and stuff. They were just so open that they were just incorporated with the spirits.
I think I believe in it enough that like if you put a Dybbuk box in front of me, I'm not opening it. I'm not even going to touch it.
I've been trying to make a Dybbuk box for like 6 months. I don't even know if it's good yet. It's only gotten into the second light of green. I think by the time I'm done, it's going to get to red on my EMP. I am going to get it. There is ways. But I've seen a lot of movies with them, and I have to say it intrigues me because obviously, I mean, there's a lot of hoaxes. I mean, in the paranormal world in general, there's going to be a lot of
Yeah.
hoaxes. There's a lot of hoaxes anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's paranormal, it could be UFOs. There's all this stuff because, well, I mean, it's easy to fabricate, and it's sometimes somewhat believable, and people run with it, and there's all sorts of reasons. But
It's like the same thing with law enforcement as well. I
but
mean,
with
now
the Diebach boxes, there's literally out there, I watched a lot of, because there was some reason people decided to make movies about it cinematically, but there was like 3 or 4 just terrible Tubi videos on it, and everybody's going to the dark web buying these dark boxes, and they all just doing these same tests, and all of a sudden, everything's happening. They open it, the spirit's gone, and then all of a sudden their life goes to hell. I do believe that you can capture a spirit. I do believe that if you can capture an entity, I'm not sure if you want to do that. I think it's something that happens more out of necessity, honestly. You're battling something and you need to capture, because there's really, I don't see because there's no gain in summoning something or conjuring something to capture it for the purpose of containing it to sell. Because if you do that, when that thing gets free, it's going to tear through you and everything you love. The retaliation would be incredible. it either has to accidentally get trapped somewhere where you can contain it, or it's like I said, out of necessity. It's battling. And the only way you can stop it, kind of like the Ed Warren theory, if you keep it contained, it's more safer than being out in the open. But it's enough, like I said, for me, I wouldn't go and buy one off the internet. I wouldn't
No.
play with that. I
No, I'm
I
staying away
mean,
from that.
I do have a box though that, like I said, that's in a place that commonly does spirits to go through. If it happens to collect and capture, well, then it happens to collect and capture. But these aren't things that I'm like purposely bringing upon the earth to capture, which I think is totally different. And some people do that, and that's when it gets really, really dangerous because now you got like an angry genie in a bottle, and that's the last thing you want because when that thing pops, it's gonna explode.
Yep.
And again, demons and entities, spirits, ghosts, whatever you're dealing with, you need to treat with the same respect you would treat a human. I believe that as well. The same thing with the boundaries, setting boundaries, the same thing you would do with a person. You wouldn't let them follow you home and come into your house. No, you stop them, and this is where I go, and this is where you go. And but they do demand that respect, and I think some people forget that,
But I
or
also read recently that if you're in like a haunted situation or energy situation, and you could try to summon them to get a response, that's a big no-no. That's what I read. And of course, I'm thinking to myself, wait a second, you see on TV like ghost hunters, so they're calling spirits all the time. It's like, what the heck's going on here? They say don't do this, don't do that.
Yeah, some people are.
it depends. I think if the spirit wants to be heard.
Yeah, that's true. And like there are different like, there are angry entities and then there are like, kind of like sadder or like lonely entities that like maybe want just someone to talk to or, they want to share their story. And then there are like, the ones that want to hurt people. And I think those are two very different things. But
Well,
some
yeah,
people think
like
that
I'm
way,
sure the lady that was contacting you wasn't out to try to harm you.
No, she
She
definitely
was
didn't seem like
lonely,
it.
scared, and cold. I mean,
Yeah.
pretty much wandering spirit there. And it's like, I think there's more of that than spirits out to try to harm or mortally harm you. But of course, negativity is always going to get kind of the forefront, and people want. I mean, that's where the cinema comes in. We can't do a story about a sad ghost. We got to do something about a poltergeist that's going to rip through the neighborhood. Like, otherwise, it's not going to sell. It's not going to
Yeah,
make
still
the headlines.
reality.
And I think that's the same way. But not every case is going to be this deep, dark secret. Some of it is just very sad secrets or very sad instances. I think that's what people like. A lot of people don't understand about paranormal. Some of it is a lot of it isn't just fear; it's a lot of sadness too, because you're going to be dealing with people that went through terrible trauma or enough trauma to get them to break through this world. It's like that's a lot of harm, pain,
Yeah.
suffering, and you might see visions of things that are you don't want to see.
Oh yeah.
Uh, you know, And it's like I said, it's one thing watching a horror movie or something that is made too scary. It's another thing when you start seeing real life scenes or visions of things that took place for real. It's like you can tell the difference.
Oh yeah. It's super weird too. Like that was the only thing that I've ever had happen like that and I did not know how to explain it. I still don't know how to explain it and I hate it when it happened. I couldn't sleep for days. I was like I have no idea what that was. Like I hate it.
What's your family think about all this?
So they're very Catholic. They don't love it. Um they wish that I wasn't messing with it. So some people think like if you're communicating with something that you can't see, that no matter what, it has to be a demon. So
But,
they're
but,
like,
but what about, let me just ask you, what about the Holy Ghost? We don't see the Holy Ghost,
right?
yet you want us to
Exactly.
talk to the Holy Ghost. You want us to
Yep.
believe him and trust in him. He must be a demon, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, they don't love it. They definitely don't love it.
I think they're afraid for your mortal soul. That's what it is. It
I
comes
think so
down to
too.
it comes down to like that, like the superstitions of what they've been told. and if you mess with the wrong thing, and they do, you know, a lot of people still find Exorcist to be one of the scariest films because if you're really religious, it's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Now, if you're not, you would realize, first of all, the demon they use in the movie isn't even a Catholic demon or Christian demon. It's a Babylonian demon or even older. Second of all, it protects women and children. It does not really harm them, but that's a different story. I hate that they picked that demon to try to make it into like Satan. It was just kind of weird, especially doing the research after the fact. But there's still today people that will say, and even people that are in movies and horror movies. I've always asked this question when I go to panel: "What's your favorite scary movie? What's the scariest movie you've seen?" They'll come back and say Exorcist because it causes them mortal fear. But again, that's just because of working off of another belief. If you switch those beliefs or look at things another way, it's not that scary at all. Now, granted, the case itself, if what it was based off, I've seen was quite scary, but that's an extreme case.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it. We've seen a few extreme cases, but how many cases aren't extreme? How many cases aren't, people's lives getting ripped apart? More so, again, I would say more so than the huge cases. Otherwise, we'd have huge cases in headlines every single day.
Yeah, exactly.
The Warrens did bring a lot of it to the front and center by, getting their stuff into enough ears and eyes that people wanted to make movies about it. But the movies aren't 100% true. Like Annabelle's death count in the movies is way more than it was in real life.
Yeah.
And the doll doesn't even look like that. It's a Raggedy Ann doll, and some of the other stuff. There's definitely discrepancies. Even people that are still living within the family will come on and be like, "This didn't happen. That didn't happen, or this was different." But it got people in the idea that these things exist. They're out there. Do I
Yeah.
mess with them? I could. It also gave, I think, a lot of people the idea to, hey, this is something I've been wanting to do, like Paranormal Hunters and Ghost Hunters and all these shows popped up, because it is, people wanted to have been doing this for years. Now they have a platform and an actual audience that wants to watch this.
Do you believe in the Annabelle curse?
I don't think that I would mess with her.
Do you believe it? I hear stories about people like.
I know when they took her on tour, a lot of really strange things happened basically everywhere they took her.
Yeah,
And
it was
I
crazy.
don't think that's a coincidence. Like, it was just too much.
I was supposed to go to Maine to see her. I bought the ticket, I'll be honest, but we got hit with tornadoes the day before. Crazy amount of them, enough that I couldn't get up there. And I'm kind of glad I did, because I talked to somebody else that went up there. Well, we talked to her, and she said that ever since she saw that doll, her life has went to shambles.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of stories similar to that it's an evil entity. You can feel the evil just within it.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard from. I've never seen Annabelle, but I've heard like from other people that I've known that have seen her. Or what is that other one? The one that's like the sailor. I forgot his name.
I know
Robert the
Yes,
doll?
Robert. Yeah. Robert really messes with people from what I've heard.
I've heard Robert is actually worse than Annabelle.
Yeah.
But no, these, like I said, I heard horrendous stories. I'm not sure that these, I believe that they were safe to see in the Warrens' home because that's where they were placed, and they knew how they were protected. But like they said, don't take these things out of the basement.
Yeah.
And I think once they brought them out of the basement, I think that a lot of things happened. A lot of misfortunes happened. And again, these are things that shouldn't be messed with. Not for the sake of entertainment, not for the sake of social media, not for the sake of just, if you're a professional and you know how to handle entity spirits and such, then that's one thing. But if you're doing it to be, some social media god, it's not going to work out too well for anybody. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, look at Sam and Colby. Like, they went to see Robert, and then Colby got diagnosed with cancer shortly after.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
he wondered the whole time, like when he was diagnosed, he was like, what if that was the doll? What if it was cursed?
It could have been. I mean, these dolls are taken into custody for a reason. Nobody fabricated the Annabelle story. I mean, nobody, made up this doll story just so they could, make $1 million later on. The money wasn't then. Like if they'd done that in 2020 or 2022, I would say, okay, maybe they're doing it for the cash, maybe it's fake. But the time periods and the story that it does go with, there's not enough money for it to be there. Most of the people were cast out as crazy rather than become,
Yep.
rich and famous off of this. You know, kind of like the stuff in the back of the tabloid magazines and the old, creature magazines where you see like Bat Boy and shit flying through, and it's just like, and maybe it exists, maybe it doesn't. But like I said, it wasn't just one case; it was multiple cases. And I think them going around and talking about it after, going to campuses, going to places, writing stuff, even Lorraine working and teaching things up into her death and such, I think gave people a better understanding of, A, this is, pretty serious. B, don't go messing with it.
Yeah,
I think a
exactly.
lot of people respect it. I think it's just up to recently when they started touring with the thing that people started to disrespect it or not understand it again.
It's kind of how it's just funny how we're like kind of like through school and everything like that. You just have this mentality that we're on top of the like no one can touch us, like entity wise. And you hear about the Annabelle curses and personal experiences and what you see personally. Kind of makes you take a step back, saying that shit. I mean, there's things that is out there that we cannot explain.
Yeah, there's a lot we can't explain.
And I think so. People need to get off their high horse and recognize that we're not the top entity out there. If that was the case, we'll be able to explain everything.
We probably killed the top entity out there. Out of arrogance and ignorance, we probably killed it. And we've been wandering aimlessly ever since with no answers, absolutely at all, because we killed it.
Would you believe, Rachel, that everything that's like out there is kind of like a yin yang effect, good and evil?
I think there's always good and evil, like the yin and yang kind of thing.
So what you hear about, church about, Catholics and Christianity about, it's only one light, one God, one everything.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily it could be that for anyone else. That's cool, but not for everyone. That's not the whole picture.
Yep. Well, if you believe in the bad, you have to, or the good, you have to believe in the bad too, right? So, like, if
But
you're
like,
believing in like angels, you're also believing in devils.
you can't become a Christian or a Catholic. There's no point of becoming one if there is no devil or demon, because there's nothing to repent for. There is no sin. There is no evil. Then there's no need to go towards any light, which doesn't exist if there's no evil. You need one without the other, and then they both written good narratives of each other. But again, that's just only one religion, which is only a small piece of the whole world's religion,
Yeah.
which is only part of the whole story of the truth, any which way.
Yeah. But a lot of other religions also have like kind of good and evil entities too.
Almost all of them, most of them yeah, I mean, I would say almost all of them until you get into like Hinduism, which gets, just a whole variation of entities. Sumerian, you can go into entities, which again, I feel like the further you go back in time, each god, goddess, whatever you want to call them, had its own purpose or singular service. You would call upon this one for drought. You would call upon this one for freaking rain, death, whatever. But they all had their own strengths and weaknesses. Similar to even like Greek gods, like you'd have hundreds of them, but then you'd also have your Hades, and I think you always are going to have that, I mean, even if you go back to like Ahriman was a original devil, but you had a god on that side, the angry Manu, and you had all of that. I mean, it just was I said yes, for most of the time I think you always have that yin and yang. There's only very few world religions that have just multiple entities. But then again, like if you look at like paganism, a lot of the entities within paganism are, have been demonized down the line. Like Pan, for instance. There's no reason to be so mean on Pan, but because he's a love god, he's sex, and he's goat, he's a devil. Let's make him a devil. He's a demon. He's in a lust. He equals lust. And I think that happened a lot with modern religion. It just you can't have multiple gods. It doesn't work. So we have to make everybody evil except one. Let's pick a good one, keep that good, and make everybody else bad.
Yeah, what he said. So you only done a couple houses. That's all you've done, really?
Probably maybe like 6 or 7 houses, and then I've done a lot outside, or like 6 or 7 like houses that people live in.
Right.
Um I've done I've gone to like the haunted locations that like are houses or were houses at one point that are now like, the tourist kind of attractions,
Right.
like SK Pierce Mansion, that had it was, originally a house, then it was a boarding house. And now it's more of a like tourist attraction where they do like historical tours and like paranormal related things. Um I've gone to places that were houses that have turned into museums that are haunted. Like Wilson Castle, that was once someone's house, but now it's, kind of a historical attraction. Plus, like they do paranormal things at some points too,
Like,
things like that.
have you done investigations in these places, or
Yeah,
just? Oh,
yeah, I've done investigations there. I slept overnight in Wilson's Castle. That was pretty cool. So we investigated literally all night. Um,
yeah. Slept overnight. Yeah, it's like
yeah,
sleeping. Yeah, that's
that one like there was nothing. Some people say that there might be something that's evil in it. The people that were working there that are always there, they believe that there is like a portal there, so sometimes things that are darker come through.
right.
But when I was there, it seemed like we split into 3 groups. It was a pretty big group of people. Um,
Like, did you have to pay anything, or
we all, yeah, it was around $100 probably per person. It wasn't like too crazy.
okay? No, no.
Um,
$100. He's a signature. Don't sue us.
yeah.
Thank you.
We split into like 3 groups, and we all had like a bunch of different devices. Some people brought their own. Some people like were using um there were I forgot. They have a YouTube channel. I think it's called Overnights. Is it Overnights or something like that? There are a team of paranormal investigators that travel all over the country and do it. And so they hosted, and they split up and they had their equipment that they let people use. And all 3 of the groups got kind of very similar responses where they something wanted us to go outside into the woods the whole night.
Right.
So that was like maybe the scariest thing that happened there, but like it was fairly like nice. Like the vibes were good. Like it felt nice in there. I had no problem sleeping in there. Um that one wasn't too bad. Like that one, like it was kind of like a happier feeling. Um there have been some that were darker. The SK Pierce mansion is very dark. I haven't stayed overnight there yet.
Mhm.
When I investigated that, it was with the last owners, and they didn't allow overnights. They recently got new owners, like maybe a month or 2 ago, and they allow overnights now. So you can actually rent out the entire mansion for like it's like $1,300 or something. So if you split that into like a group of 10, like it's really not bad.
Where's Versace? Where's Versace? Because this guy is a crazy. This is a he watches his father, who the state of Massachusetts. If you instead of getting a caregiver that's assigned to the state, you can be your own caregiver for your family, they charge you like they say pay you like a little bit less than a regular caregiver. It's kind of like it's like kind of like they take a slice, but they say, "Hey, family members can help family members."
Yeah.
So that's what he does. He drops like $1,000 for a wrestling show, for sponsorship like that. So where are you, Versace? Hey, you like spend big money, hey.
Back when like the Conjuring House was open, it was like really expensive to get a group of like 10 or 13 people in there to like investigate it. And like
Define expensive here.
back when the previous owner owned the Conjuring House, I think it was gonna be a little over $2,000. It was, I think, per person it was gonna be like 250 or $60. If we had, I think it was 12 people. So I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was quite a bit, and there were a lot of weird rules. Like you could have like cameras and things, but like any footage you had, like the house would have to go through before you could have it. Like the people working at the house, just like really strange things. Um, most places are not like that. They'll just be like, you can record what you want. You're
Yeah.
fine. Just be respectful. Um, but I had a bunch of friends looking at that, and like we were all like, okay, let's go. Like we have our own equipment. We don't need to like borrow anything. We're good. And then that shut down. I was actually going to work at the Conjuring House before the one woman who owned it previously like lost the ability to run a business. So I never got to do that. But we've been looking at the SK Pierce Mansion because it's very affordable and it's very dark, which is kind of exciting.
Because before you made it sound like that, you've done a couple of investigations here and there, you jumped it here and there, no big deal. Now it's like you're like coming out with your resume. I did the Conjuring. I've done this, I've done that.
Yeah, I haven't done the Conjuring House. I never made it there. I was so close. I had the interview. It was the best interview I've ever had in my life. And then the woman who owned it just kind of she was told she wasn't allowed to run a business anymore. So that didn't work out. But yeah, the SK Pier expansion was really cool. I did the let's see, like a list of things.
Versace, would you drop $1,500 for us to have a mansion, a haunted mansion for a night?
With what, like social media rights? You can set up, you can do a whole stream, everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? I mean, that's about the going rate.
See, he's like sugar daddy.
He's like, yeah, I'm in.
He's like sugar daddy. That's why I keep my head bald.
Well, I mean, just know you'll be bait.
I know. Hey,
You were talking 13 ghosts. Well, we need bait. Yes,
yeah.
I would 15. I would do. I mean, 12. I would do 15. Whatever. I mean, you got to remember a lot of these places. If they didn't charge that, they couldn't rent it out at all.
Yeah, exactly.
They lost money because of these hauntings that they have to charge to make money back, or they'll lose the property. And once they lose the property, then it's going to be some greedy guy turning it into a museum, and it's going to be charging you 3 times the amount.
Like another cool thing about like the places that you can rent out overnight too are like that money goes into like restoring the properties and like kind of preserving the history there too. I know you can also like rent out Wilson Castle, but I'm not sure how much it costs. But like renting out a haunted castle would be really cool.
I know it's not haunted, but I know you can rent out the Buffalo Bills house that they did in Silence of the Lambs. And they still have the house preserved perfectly. Basement scene. Cervini went in and made it. You can do whatever you want in the night. You can dance. You can sing. You can have all sorts of crazy fun. Film, make scenes for movies, do whatever overnight. It's only like $700 or $800.
That's cool.
I would definitely dress up like Wild Bill, wearing my leather face mask, fucking dancing, singing and dancing, having a good time. I'll find some maybe freaking, what is it, Goodbye Horses. Could have a good time, get a couple boas.
some of the places that we were planning on hitting, there were, of course, the retreat towers.
Oh, yep. So I've brought equipment outside it. I've never been inside the tower. They don't open it up that often
Yeah, just
due to the
outside.
history.
What's
Well,
the fine? What's the fine for going in with it without them opening it?
Well, it's locked. You can't get in.
So you have to break the lock and trespass.
Yeah.
No, you don't want to do that.
You
But
could honestly, if you wanted to go in to do something like that, you could probably just contact like the retreat and like they might just let you do it.
well, they might want a finder's fee or something.
Yeah.
But either which way, it's probably manageable and doable.
Yeah.
we're thinking about retreat towers. The Four Columns Inn in Newfane.
Hey, Barbara,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
you doing tonight? We're just talking paranormal here. We got Rachel on from New Hampshire. She's done a whole bunch of ghost hunting, which I'm even impressed about.
You've
Vic
heard of,
only told me a few things. He didn't tell me this extensive.
I sent you the file.
Yeah, but it wasn't a complete file. It was only like bits and pieces. It was fragmented. It's a fragmented file.
Oh, Jesus. But the Four Columns Inn, you've heard about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
there are a few inns. I forgot what the other ones were.
Wyndham Inn, like Wyndham County.
Yep.
Inn.
Why do I feel like you just want to get me to a hotel, Vic, for the night? Like, is that the goal here? You just want to bring me on a sweet date? So we can do a non-haunted one if that's the case.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Just making sure we're all on the same page here. What we're doing.
No, I'm not Kumsa Kumsa.
Because all these things started to end in ends, and I'm just getting curious. Although I'd love to get one on like American Horror Story, where like all the
What you thinking
in the
about?
night.
Were you thinking about me in that way?
Well, no, I was just making sure
Okay, I was thinking sure. You know, just
before we get any further with this.
I don't know. He sounds excited.
I was thinking because I never seen. Because honestly, I grew up in a house where my sister experienced a paranormal activity. My mother has. My father has. I never had. And the basement had an Indian hiding place.
So you're literally like Mulder over there, where your sister was like taken by aliens, and you're over here like they exist, and nobody believes you.
And it's like, it's like I'm just like I never seen anything like that. Then when my dad took me to Old Town, there was a haunted place in Old Town by San Diego. And we never saw anything, but it was just like
There are definitely some, real active places though, and sometimes you just have to be with the right people who kind of attract it.
You need
Have you
spooky ass
ever-
people like me, Vic. I'll attract all these haunts, ghosts, ghouls, demons.
Like, have you ever tried going
devils,
somewhere with like
zombies.
a medium or something?
I can be medium. I can read cards. If I don't smoke, I'm pretty in tune. It's only when I smoke I can block out a lot of the
I'm
shit.
also gonna have you sign something saying that you cannot be wearing bringing a leather face mask or anything in investigation.
I would not do
No,
that
no,
in
no,
investigation.
like,
That would be so
no,
disrespectful.
no.
Unless we're in Texas investigating, there's going to be no leather faces.
No leather faces, no masks, no anything like that.
If we're doing paranormal, it's paranormal. If we're doing horror movies, it's horror movies. But there's a line. I'm not going to fucking scare you, jump scare you. I'll let the ghost do that for me. What do I need to get involved for?
know you. That's what.
You just need someone to bring all the spirits to you. That's me. I'm like the Pied Piper over here. They'll all follow me to you.
Yeah, it was crazy though when we started talking about this spiritual stuff. It's like I just brought it up to him, and he was out of nowhere. He's like, "Oh yeah, I know this, and I told me it's like his resume. I'm like, I never fucking knew you were that spiritual.
You call it spiritual, I call it dark arts. I mean, everybody calls it something different. Some people call me devil worshiping. It all depends on what your core beliefs are. Spiritual is the proper word because you're open-minded. You're spiritual and open to all things. It's not like I denounce anything. I don't rebuke anyone. Everybody has a fair shake.
That's right.
You know, if you're an even Steven person, there's not much you can say, but you have to be open-minded to work with any of this. I mean, if you go into any investigation with your core set belief and you don't allow your mind to be changed in any which way, then I'm going to sorry to tell you, you're going to fail. The investigation's going to fail. You're not going to find anything. You're going to be disappointed. Your expectations crushed, and you're probably going to quit.
Yep.
You got to
Yeah.
go in there like a blank slate, like a freaking blank paint slate, and let this investigation or whatever you're investigating paint the picture for you and show you what it wants to show you. And you have to be able to see it and allow it to be shown. But with those two things happening, you will experience it. Will it happen every time? No. You might not be in the right place. You might not be with the right people. It might not be. They might not even want to contact at that time. So you try again. You try another time. I'm sure she'll tell you that sometimes she's probably had to check on things multiple times.
A lot of times you're just kind of walking around in the dark, hanging out with your friends, joking around, like nothing happening.
Until something does, and everybody
Until,
stops you, and
yeah.
everybody's serious. Like, okay, snap into it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know. But I think that's the cool thing about doing it with others, or that you do get to experience these things as a group. So again, you're not having this solo delusion.
Yeah.
You know, it's either group psychosis or it's really happening.
Yeah, I was at the it was the Murdoch Whitney house, like I think it's a mansion, I guess. In Winchendon, Massachusetts, maybe like 2 years ago, I think. And we were doing a spirit circle with a psychic medium, and she was like in the middle, and everyone was around in a circle sitting in chairs. And two people sitting in chairs next to each other on one side of the room felt something go in between them, and directly diagonal from them, two people also felt it go in between them. And it was just
Cool.
like, hey, I felt that. Did you feel that? And then the other people immediately felt it too. So it was like, we knew where they went, and like it was, multiple people being like, yeah, that definitely happened. And like it's kind of cool when you get a big group of people and they're experiencing the same thing.
No, definitely. I think because, like I said, it gives the validation, but also it everybody's going to experience the same thing, but they're going to experience it in a different way that's both insightful to share. You'll all feel something pass by, but how did it affect you? And that's
Yeah.
kind of it. It affects everybody different because everybody has a little bit different how their inception is on when it
Yeah.
comes to these things. And some might get an off feeling, if they're really into them. I felt something really evil. Everybody else might feel something just cold.
Yeah. At the SK Pierce mansion, I went with one of my friends, Teresa. I go to a lot of different haunted places with her. And we went up to like the third floor, I think it was like like the maid's quarters, and a lot
Yeah.
of really dark, like, sexual things happened there. And she was like, "Oh, I love this room. It feels so nice in here. Like, this could be my bedroom." And everyone else was like, there were people that were like, "I feel nauseous. I don't like this room. What are you talking about?" And like, she just, a completely different was like, "This is great. I love this."
There's always that one person. Like, that'd probably be me. I'd be like, this is perfect. It's fitting.
And like, you don't know if like maybe she was picking up on the spirit of like a man who did some really awful things and who was excited to be there at the time, and like other people were like picking up on people that had really bad things happening to them. Like, you never know.
Yeah, but there's people that watch horror movies that'll be grotesque and turned off and be like, oh my God. And then there's other people that be like, well, that was fucking genius.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
smile. That's kind of like me. I'd sit there and probably be like, yeah, this is a perfect place for a first date in a horror movie. Let's start the party. I could see that though. But again, like I said, I mean, some people have different senses of humor. Some people have even, like I said, different intuitions.
Yeah.
People have different triggers too. If you walk into a situation that might bother somebody more because they might have gone through something similar
Yeah.
in trauma wise, and that might trigger them and they might act out more aggressively than the other occupants that are there. because again, a lot of the subjects are very sensitive. You might be dealing with suicides, rapes, murders, all these terrible things that have taken place to somebody. And, you have to kind of just grit your teeth and brace it because there's no really turning back when you start it. And I think that's probably, like I said, the downside is I think taking the right amount of mental space in between cases or cases that have affected you is probably the right thing to do, not just like jump case to case to case. Like,
Yeah.
make sure you're clear, clean, your head feels good, you're in a good, clean space. Because I think when you get run down drain like that, that's when an entity or spirit can latch on and
Yeah,
can get
exactly.
inside and can start to fucking get into your brain. And that's what nobody wants. Nobody wants to go home with anything.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say, like, if you're depressed, don't go somewhere where like there's any like dark activity. You don't want anything like taking advantage of that.
No, I mean, unless, well, yeah. Um, but no, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, anything can be exacerbated, even, feelings of anxiety, anger, hatred, everything can kind of get, you know, amped up. The entities will use this to their advantage because energy is any kind of feeling is a strong energy,
Yeah,
whether
that's
it's, heated anger or really bad sadness. It's all power for something. And they will use that as fuel and consume and make you draw out as much of it as you can. If they're volatile entities, if that is their purpose is to harm. If they're not, then again, I mean, then you're just you're dealing on a different case. But if you're dealing with someone that intentionally wants to harm, I mean, then you're dealing with a malevolent spirit. It's a little bit different.
yeah.
If you don't mind, Rachel, I like to keep in touch with you for
Yeah, of
our
course.
investigation case because there'd be some cases that for Sashi, he's like about 2.5 hours away from me. Wait, 2.5 hours, 2 hours?
You just all want to meet up in New Hampshire and go see some crazy shit, don't you?
So I want to see some crazy shit, anyways.
I know this episode's exciting. I think I might come out next week. 2.5 hours isn't that bad. I drove to 6 to Pennsylvania for Creature Feature.
I mentioned how much money you spent on like promotions and like sponsorships and stuff like that, and I was like, where were you?
That's nothing compared to what I'll spend on horror. So I mean, that's even more than. But we weren't talking paranormal then. We were talking pro wrestling.
Well, that's
Had we been talking paranormal, we probably would have already been to a dozen places.
Pennsylvania is a really cool place for like anything paranormal too, like big hot spot because you've like Gettysburg. There's the Eastern State Penitentiary. I've been there, but I've never investigated. But it's really cool.
I'm actually going to Gettysburg for the Creature Feature in February or March. I don't know what. But I went out to Scranton last November. They had another one, and it was just a great time. Everybody did all these awesome photo ops and such, and got to meet a lot of great actors and actresses, and it was manageable. Like the lines weren't crazy, and people weren't just. It was just a good time. I do enjoy, like I said, the cinematic horror a lot. I like to go to a lot of cons and stuff. But I do now next year. I didn't like I said I didn't get to make it this year because of the tornadoes. But I do want to go to the main paranormal convention. I heard that is an excellent convention. This will be their second year running now. I think next year. I said I was supposed to go. They brought the Annabelle doll there and everything, and we had all the. And I had another convention the day before, and I was out. And I happened to be like one town over from where like the tornado landed. Well, one of them, and like we drove out of there, and like we were like shaking, and then like there was all these trees down and everything, and I couldn't even get to Maine the next day. It was crazy.
it was like a passing shower where I was at. So he's telling me all this. I was like, yeah, bullshit. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, and Mikey's driving my little car on the highway, and shit's blowing through it, and everybody's
If it's
going
the
like crawl.
one I'm thinking of, I was on my porch doing like my live. Like before I was doing the paranormal lives, I was just kind of doing like engagement room lives on TikTok. And so I was just like hanging out on the porch doing that, and it was getting really windy, and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna get a cool storm," and like, um, I thought we were gonna lose power because it was so windy. And I had a friend in Revere pop on, and he was like, "A tornado just touched down like between us." I
Yep.
was like, "No way."
Yeah, you got it out there too. It was kind of crazy.
It wasn't too bad here, but I guess further towards the coast, it seemed like it was.
Jeez, I just told my son tornadoes can't come here. What the heck? Uh,
It doesn't happen often.
it doesn't happen often. You tell that to a 6-year-old.
Yeah, true.
It doesn't happen often. Maybe,
Oh, I was literally told to shelter in place or get the fuck out, and we just hightailed it because I didn't want to. I didn't want to drive later in the storm. I figured I know which way the storm is. I know I'm going the opposite direction. If I can just get through it and get out, I'll be fine. And we
the
were,
content
but
you could have gotten the content.
I tried to get some video, but
You stay behind, do a vlog.
everybody was stuck in the basement. I probably could have made a feature film. It was all actors and actresses down there.
You would have Facebook messaged me say like, "Go live now," and I would have gone live. I got some StreamYard or whatever like that. You'd be like,
No,
"My
I
name's
probably, you
Mr.
know what? If they weren't being assholes all day about me filming and filming in all the different areas, I probably would have stayed behind. But since they didn't let us film where the actors and actresses were, I said, fuck it. I'm probably not going to get to film downstairs anyways. Let me just get out of here. Plus, I was mad that I missed Elvira and I paid the 100 and there was no refund. She left early because of the storm. It's always something, but
Always something.
I made it home in one piece. I got my stuff inside without it getting wet. That was the two important things. I bought in all these high-end collectibles and first edition Halloween books and stuff, and I was just like, now it's pouring and I gotta get out of here, like before the rain really comes down. My stuff's gonna get wet.
Okay. Rachel, where can people find you on social media?
On TikTok, I'm under @YourSpookyBestie, all like one word. That is where I'm the most active. I'm on there every night live at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, talking about scary things, kind of whatever comes up. Sometimes we'll just like do trivia or whatever, but most nights I'll just talk about like the most, the top 10 or 20 haunted places in each state, or I'll talk about like haunted roads, or if I've gone somewhere recently, like I'll, tell a story about it. Like, this is the history of it. This is what we saw. Like, here's, kind of our evidence. Yeah, that's where I'm the most active. Pretty much the only social media I really do a lot of.
Because we're planning going head first in this quickly. So I'll let you know where we're going and shit like that.
Oh yeah, we're always down to do collabs. I mean, if we ever see a place and you say, "Hey, that looks cool," we can
Yeah,
always meet up
there are a
and
lot
do
of cool
something.
places.
Yeah,
I mean,
always use the extra hand, with our stuff.
and I have some equipment. I don't have a ton of equipment, but I have, enough.
Yeah, I have some basic stuff. Like I said, I got cameras though. I got beautiful cameras. I got cinematic cameras, regular cameras, camcorders. But I got
But yeah, I'm always up for an
minimal
adventure.
haunting stuff. But I am growing stuff. Like I said, I have a few things in the cart because they are now accessible. You can buy them like on Amazon. It's kind of wild, but you can.
Yeah.
And they really work. It's not just some kind of hoax. Like they're actually purposeful.
Yeah, there are some nights I'll do my live and I'll set the REM pod up. So like, I'm sure you guys have seen this. It's like, if it's just sitting here, it shouldn't be going off, right? But if something touches it, it goes off. So I'll just, set it on my bed next to me. I'm like in the corner of my bedroom over here. Like, this is where I do my streams, and I'll just like set it there, and sometimes it goes off.
I think my spirit box has a button that I can press on that will turn into that. Like it
Oh
goes
yeah,
into
there's like
REM.
there's
There's
one for
something.
I think it does it like a temperature thing. I have a little button on the side of mine too.
Yeah, that tells the temperature and all of that. And because
Yeah.
the temperature changes mean something too, especially if it gets like colder or more
Yeah,
so
so
colder,
there's
I think. Hotter, I've heard hotter, but I'll be honest, most of the time I always hear about coldness.
Yeah, cold. There's like a little light in the middle that goes off when the temperature changes, and that's the one that goes off more frequently. I've only the first night that I used it during my live, it like really went off like the whole time. But I would like, start talking about certain things and it would go off, which is really weird. My house is not haunted that I know of.
Well, you got those 8 ghosts behind you.
Yeah, these my little they look like Pac-Man ghosts.
You think they're not haunted. They're all probably entities now.
Yeah, they could be.
Oh, so what should you say to make them all mad? Get them all riled up?
They're not. They're happy ghosts. They're friendly. Pac-Man was the bad
Yeah.
guy and all that. He was
Yeah,
eating
that's
them.
true. Which is a
Okay.
real weird thing to do.
Well, it is. Who wants to eat a ghost?
Yeah, not me.
I wouldn't.
I bet they're not very filling.
But they're not. I'm sure they're probably mostly air. But no, Pac-Man wasn't a good person. Just one of those things. He got to be the hero, but he was really the bad guy. Same thing with Donkey Kong. I mean, the same thing. He was snatching princesses and trying to kill Mario throughout his whole career until he became a hero.
Yeah.
But at least he became a good guy in the
We
end.
did eventually.
Everyone's a villain in someone's book.
That's
It
true.
is. It's true.
That's how I look at it. Before I let you go, what was another case that we were talking about? Weatherhead Hollow, the Witch of Weatherhead Hollow. You heard anything about this?
I haven't. Is that near you? Is that you said it was near you?
Yes.
It is supposedly there was an old bridge at the time, but there was a young, I would say, woman that. This was back in. I'm not going to be good with the years, but it had to be during the witch trials because it was brought all the way. Salem had a road that went out to this part of Vermont in any which way. This lady was very holistic. And as you know, what would happen is people that were holistic and doing holistic medicine were considered deemed witches. She tried and fought for her innocence, but eventually was hung. And before she died, she decided to curse the whole land. And supposedly now it's still cursed to this day. The bridge no longer stands. Somebody's bought the property, but many people have seen her. Like I said, the trail still does lead to Salem, which they said there was a lot of covenant witch going back and forth. But I do believe that was propaganda, as witches really didn't travel like that.
Yeah.
Considering most of the people that were tried weren't even real witches.
No, they're just people.
We would all be considered witches right now and burned at the stake for even talking paranormal. So that's basically it. If you believed in the spirit realm, then you were a devil worshiper and you were going to hell. So let's burn you.
Yep. I actually studied holistic medicine.
Holistic medicine is great if you want to
Yeah.
save yourself and not become a slave to Big Pharma. I mean,
When I was taking classes, I had friends who were like, "Oh, you're going to be a witch doctor," and I was like, "No."
I'm a firm believer on if you own property, whatever you grow on it, as long as whatever reaction you have from it is on your property, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Who cares? It's like you can't grow mushrooms. Meanwhile, I can go upstairs dressed like a baby and having some like mistress. It's like spanking me in my ass. It's like it's like what's the real difference? Like,
it's a weird world. That's why you stick with the paranormal world. You don't got to deal with all those
yeah.
quirks. You can just go right into it and see what's going on.
Oh, there's some weird stuff.
Oh, I'm sure there is, but sometimes nothing is weirder than fiction. Nothing's weirder than the truth. Unfortunately. At least mine, at least what I see on a daily basis. Sometimes I'm like, I wish this was made up or make believe.
Have you had to deal with like a pervy ghost before?
I've dealt with some demons before. I've never dealt with ghosts. I've dealt with direct demons, and that was pretty wild because there was people that wouldn't even walk into my room. There was people that were throwing up in there. My house was pretty
That's
crazy.
bad.
Eh, Yes and no. I mean, I do believe that with any entity, there can be a symbiotic relationship. There can be. It's not
Yeah,
impossible.
but I mean, you don't want it to make you sick.
It wasn't making me sick.
Not just other people.
Just other people. Like I said, it became a symbiotic relationship. Again, we had parasites in our body that worked through us. It was kind of similar in ways. I was more the
Yeah.
parasite, but there was just a lot. I had a friend that was very spiritual, and she helped me manifest and conjure a few demons, and one became two, and two became three, and all of a sudden there was like seven or eight lower tier demons just kind of floating around. And me and my friend were able to astral project them back and forth, but it almost caused more chaos than not every time they came back. She lived in Washington, I lived out here, so going across country like that, but she was really good at astral projecting and getting people to astral project and getting them to go on these almost mind trips. But yeah, it was pretty wild. Everything eventually cooled down, but it was at one point very hectic energy, I would say. I wouldn't say it was necessarily negative or bad or scary or any of that. Just it was very overwhelming and hectic. Probably because there was so many entities, and like I said, none of them were really bad. Nothing had bad intentions. Nothing was summoned for the intention of cursing or causing chaos. They were just most of them were summoned for enlightenment or answers, but a lot of them never got unsummoned or banished after the fact. So I just let them kind of just chill instead of like closing circles and banishing demons every time. So we just had way too many living in one small space. It was, like I said, pretty wild.
Chaotic.
It was chaotic. That's all I can explain
Yeah.
it as chaotic. There's no other really word. Like it was literally pure chaos. But in a good way. Again, I can't say it was negative because it was a lot of like if you could harness the energy of the chaos into something constructive, you could get a lot of creativity out there, and a lot of work was done. A lot of artwork was done in that time period. A lot of stuff was done, and a lot of that energy was used towards creation. Because energy can be, change. You can take anger and go hit a heavy bag and get muscular. You can use all these different energies for good or bad. It's up to you what you decide to do with it.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
To wise Versace Stoner. Well, I appreciate you coming on tonight, Rachel. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
We are going to definitely keep in touch because not only I need someone to like sometimes smack me in the back of the head, be like, "Hey, keep focused." But no, I was trying to balance this divorce life and I have a level 3 autistic daughter on top of it, so try and balance everything out.
And
But
plus, we know someone that has almost 15 years or so of ghost hunting experience that can be like, hey, you're on the right path, or hey, don't do that. That's stupid. You're going to end up, going insane.
I definitely know a lot of cool places if you guys are looking for cool places.
That we are. That we are. Shoot 'em links. Shoot 'em places. Shoot 'em things. Shoot 'em equipment we think we need. I'll buy it tonight. I don't care. Just don't be sending in places of like 25, 30,000 to get to, or private haunted
Yeah,
islands or
that'd be
something.
crazy. Now, there's so much in New England though that like, you're there in an hour or two, if that, and like you can rent out the whole place for like a reasonable price, get a few people in there and like, get some really cool content, like do some really cool experiments and like, have a good time.
And do the caretakers usually just leave you there for the night, just let you go, or they just hang around kinda?
Um, from what I've experienced, the caretakers have like there's been at least one person in the building somewhere. Um, but I don't know if that's always true. I know I was at Wilson's Castle in Proctor, Vermont, and the owner like came in the middle of the night, and she just like went off to her like private room, and then we never saw her till morning.
Do they make you
Um,
sign like mortal waivers? Like if you die in
yeah,
there? Yes.
if you
Okay.
if you get an attachment, that's not their problem. If you fall down the stairs, also not their problem. That kind of thing.
Yes, yeah, no, that was the same with all these. Even the Annabelle doll, you had to basically sign your life away, going, if you die and drop dead, this is not our problem.
Yeah.
You looked at the doll, you chose to look at it.
It's like
Yeah.
tough mutter when I was doing them back in the day.
Well, yeah, if you have a heart attack,
Death
running tough
waiver.
love,
It's like
that's
this is
on
a
you.
death waiver. It's like what?
Well, I've seen a kid get trampled at one of those things. Those are no fun.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah.
Somehow I survived, but so we'll keep in touch. Definitely. Thank you very much,
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been
Mr.
fun.
Mr. Stoner. Thank you very much.
As always.
Next week I'll be doing the investigation in Brookline.
Back to Brookline you go.
Back to Brookline I go.
Telling you, that's gonna be the new Conjuring house by the time you're done with it.
I don't want to sound like a sour grapes or like an asshole or anything like that, but before the divorce was fine.
But let me ask you a question.
Fine,
Let me just ask you a question. Let's just presume the curse is real. Well, the demon was never gone, so now the demon is living in the house. The entity they summoned to curse you is living at the house. Maybe that's why you feel so much better when you're not in Brookline and you're at your dad's. Because the entity is still at the house. It has attached itself now to the home and not you.
Maybe.
Because they didn't have nothing personal of yours. Maybe they could only send it to its whereabouts and nothing an actual person.
I'm going to bring my cameras with me.
I see you wearing your cross tonight. You must be feeling a little freaking holy.
Me?
You like Ed Warren over there, right, with the holy water.
I always feel holy.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
You were in line for the next pope, I heard.
Oh, no. I might be an asshole, but not that much of an asshole. That's for sure. All right, so we'll keep in touch, and thank you for everyone for watching, listening. This is Project Unknown. Catch everyone later.
Have a good night. Bye.